The majority of boxing fans believe that once Joshua and Wilder square off in the ring, there's only going to be one conclusion to that fight. Somebody is going to be put to sleep. Somebody is going to find themselves on the canvas with the referee counting, telling them if they want to continue. Or being unconscious and having the referee be over them, waving the fight off. The majority of boxing fans believe this fight will end in a vicious KO. Well, one thing I know about boxing is styles. Because one thing I do, and I have been doing since I was a 13-year-old kid, has been studying styles. I know styles. I know boxing styles. And when I look at Anthony Joshua's style, and then when I look at Deontay Wilder's style, and when I envision them clashing together, you know what I see? I see a cautious fight. Oh yeah, I see a very cautious fight. Because, I see a lot of boxing fans look at Deontay Wilder, and they think that Deontay Wilder is Mike Tyson. They think because Deontay Wilder's a big puncher, he's Mike Tyson. So they immediately think, oh, Wilder's just going to go in here, go ham the way Mike Tyson did, and he'll catch Joshua and knock him out. Here's the problem. Wilder fights nothing like Mike Tyson did. Mike Tyson was a short heavyweight who threw a lot of hooks, who came forward. He was a seek and destroy type of fighter. Very chaotic type of fighter. Come forward, throw many hooks. He was trying to knock your head off. He knew how to cut the ring off. Let's look at Deontay Wilder's style. Deontay Wilder's 6'7", and he fights nothing like Mike Tyson. He's a guy who doesn't throw a lot of hooks. He instead throws straight punches. When you look at Deontay Wilder, when have you ever seen him march forward like a madman, throwing hooks, trying to knock his opponent out? The only time I saw him do that was when he fought Bermane Stiverne. And you know why he did that against Bermane Stiverne? Because he knew Bermane Stiverne was not a threat. So he just came forward, he kept throwing that jab, and he kept throwing that right hand. He was trying to knock Stiverne out. But if you look at the majority of Wilder fights, he has his hands up. Look at the way he fights. He has his hands up. Right? He'll either do two things. He'll either come forward, he'll either stand in front of his opponent, have his hands up. Right? It's like he's trying to catch his opponent's punches. Right? It's almost like he's trying to read his opponent. That's what he's trying to do. Wilder would be standing right next to his opponent with his hands up, like he's staring behind his gloves, looking at his opponent, trying to read him, trying to see what he does, and sees if he makes a mistake. And if he makes a mistake and Wilder sees the opening, he will then throw his right hand. But Wilder will not just come forward, marching forward, throwing massive right hands, like 10 right hands in a row. No, he's more of a guy who is a cautious, timid fighter. When he fought Gerard Washington did something. He threw a jab down Wilder's face. And then you know what he also did? He feinted. He was pretending he was going to throw a right hand or a hook. And look at how timid Wilder was. Wilder was standing right in front of Washington with his hands up, getting hit with a jab, and not willing to let his right hand go because he knew, or he thought, or he felt that Gerard Washington was going to counter him. This is why that fight lasted 5 rounds. Let me tell you something right now. If Deontay Wilder wanted to, he could have knocked out Gerard Washington in the first round had he simply marched forward and be willing to let his hands go. Let's say he would have come forward in round 1 and just gone, and let's say he would have just gone, guns blazing, throw right hand after right hand, those little hooks he throws, uppercuts. He would have caught Washington and he would have knocked him out because Washington has no heart. So the minute he would have got tagged with a Wilder right hand, he would have capitulated and he would have just wilted and folded, and it would have been over. The fight would have been waved off. Wilder would have won via first round. But because Wilder was timid, he was intimidated by Washington's jab and by his feints. Because he was timid by that, he gave away rounds. He slowly gave away rounds. Washington was ahead in that fight. Go look at that fight. No one's going to tell me that Wilder was winning that fight at the time of the stoppage. Wilder was clearly the one losing. Why? Because he kept giving away rounds because he was too timid to let his hands go. Like, he was not letting his hands go. He was not willing enough to let his hands go because he's a timid fighter. When he fought Luis Ortiz, did you see Wilder go in there the way he went in there against Bermane Stiverne? No. He went in there trying to box. You remember that? He was literally moving around the ring, and he kept doing this thing where he was like basically using his athleticism. He'll go in there, he'll like try to feint, and then he'll leap out. Because he was expecting Luis Ortiz, being the better technical fighter than him, to basically catch him with like a hook or some shit and hurt him. So throughout the whole fight, he kept trying to feint with Luis Ortiz. He kept feinting. The point was, he wasn't marching forward trying to knock his head off because he knew that was a dangerous tactic because he could get countered. And again, like always, he had his hands up by his side, and he was looking for the opening. Eventually, he found the opening and got Luis Ortiz out of there. When Deontay Wilder fights Anthony Joshua, he's not going to be coming forward. Absolutely no way. He's not going to be coming forward guns blazing. You are out of your mind if you think that's going to happen. You know what he's going to do? You're going to see Deontay Wilder with his hands by his chin or over his face, and Wilder's going to be looking behind his gloves against Joshua. Joshua is not a dumb fighter. He's an intelligent fighter. When Joshua fought Joseph Parker, I saw an interview that he had after the fight. In that interview, he said that the reason he was... Because if you remember, that fight went the distance, and Joshua wasn't being as aggressive as he normally is. On the interview, Joshua said that he took his time on purpose. He wasn't rushing in there because he saw tapes that Joseph Parker was quick. People were saying that Joseph Parker was a very fast heavyweight. So he didn't want to make a mistake. Joshua thought to himself, I don't want to make a mistake going here, be aggressive, be overly aggressive, then leave myself open from Joseph Parker counters, and then get caught with something stupid, then get hurt, and then Joseph Parker could try and take me out of there. So that tells me that Joshua is not a guy that just goes in there without thinking. Right? He was thinking against Joseph Parker. Joshua comes forward with a jab, right? Behind a jab. He knows that Deontay Wilder is a puncher. He knows that Deontay Wilder has the ability to knock out anybody. Right? All it takes is one punch. Joshua is going to go in this fight throwing a jab down the pipe. You're going to see Joshua throwing a jab. And you're also going to see Joshua having his hands up by his face to protect himself from a right hand. Then you're going to see Wilder being timid, also having his hands up by his head, because he's going to be intimidated by Joshua's jab. He's not going to be willing to take risks for several rounds against Joshua because he knows that Joshua is a big puncher. He knows if he makes a mistake, he's going to get caught with a Joshua counter and he might get hurt. Funny enough, Joshua is going to be feeling the same way. He's going to be coming forward behind a jab with his hands up, but he's going to be taking his time. He's not going to be rushing in there trying to knock out or try to walk down Deontay Wilder because he knows if he does that, he'll leave himself open to a Deontay Wilder right hand. And he doesn't want to risk getting hit with a Deontay Wilder right hand because that could cost him the fight. That could cost him his world titles. He could lose. So I think this fight's gonna play out where you're gonna have two heavyweights fighting very cautiously against each other. Because I think both of these heavyweights are smart heavyweights. Although Wilder has made very dumb business decisions, I think he's smart enough to understand that it's very dangerous for him to just come forward like that against guys who are technically good. Because when you do that, they're going to take advantage of you coming forward because they're going to see you have no defense or you have poor defense. They're going to see you throw sloppy punches. So they're going to take advantage and counter you with your chin exposed. Wilder was intimidated to let his hands go against Washington, a guy who's not even a big puncher. Gerard Washington is not a big puncher at all. Yeah, look at how timid he was for 5 rounds. So you mean to tell me he's not going to be timid like that against Anthony Joshua? You best believe he's going to be timid because Joshua hits twice as hard as Washington. I truly believe that it's going to be round 5 and these guys are still going to be playing, trying to figure each other out basically. Playing the I'm not willing enough to take a lot of risk. I'm not willing to risk it enough. The question will be, as the fight goes on, is Wilder gonna risk it? Because you could best believe that if it's round 5, Anthony Joshua is going to be the one ahead in the scorecards because he's the better technical fighter. And whenever Deontay Wilder's in there with a guy who's better technically than him, and it's round 5 and he's still in the fight and he hasn't caught him with the right hand, he's always down on the scorecards. Against Washington, against Arthur Spilka, and against Luis Ortiz. All 3 of these guys have one thing in common. They were all better technical fighters than Deontay Wilder. And guess what they also have in common? They were all ahead in the scorecards before Deontay Wilder caught them with the right hand. So you could best believe that if it's round 5 and Deontay Wilder hasn't landed his right hand on Anthony Joshua yet, you could best believe that Anthony Joshua would be winning on the scorecards because he's the better technical fighter than Deontay Wilder, so he would have been winning rounds against him. The question is, would Deontay Wilder be able to land his right hand on Anthony Joshua? That's really the question. If he's able to land his right hand on Anthony Joshua, then we have to ask ourselves, is Anthony Joshua capable of taking that shot? And if he finds himself getting hurt by that shot, does he have the survival instincts to hold on to Deontay Wilder? Because you could best believe if Deontay Wilder lands his right hand on Anthony Joshua and Anthony Joshua is visibly hurt, you could best believe Deontay Wilder is going to go ham. He's going to go after Joshua because Wilder has a killer instinct. And whenever he hurts a guy, I never see Wilder let the guy off the hook. He will go after Joshua. Will Joshua be, stable enough? If he's in that position where he's hurt and Wilder's going after him, will he be, will his mind be clear enough to take advantage of the fact that Wilder's coming at him crazy, throwing wild windmill punches at him and counter him? Because, when Wilder goes after his opponent, when he hurts his opponent, he tends to throw windmill punches. And he leaves himself completely exposed to being countered. Like he is a sitting duck to being countered. So the question is, if he hurts Joshua and he goes after him, will Joshua's, clarity be, will he be, I guess not dazed enough to take advantage of the fact that Wilder's coming at him, with this wild recklessness and then counter him and hurt him? Because when Deontay Wilder was fighting Luis Ortiz, Wilder was coming at him recklessly, right? And Luis Ortiz countered. What a counter, I forgot, it was either a right or left counter, and I think it was like a hook or something. And he hurt Deontay Wilder. He hurt him badly. So, again, I don't think this fight's going to be a 1 round, 2 round KO event. Many boxing fans believe this. I'm not saying this fight is gonna go the distance by any stretch of the imagination. If the fight gets if somebody gets knocked out, I fully expect it to happen. I just don't think it's gonna happen in round 2. Like, I think a lot of people think that, maybe Joshua or Wilder will just catch them in the first round, second round, and it's over. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think these guys are gonna be cautious, especially Wilder. Wilder's a very cautious fighter. I know people think he's a big bad, big puncher. He is, but he's also very aware of the fact that he's limited skill-wise, and he doesn't like taking these risks against fighters who are more skillful than him. That's why he tends to lose or give away rounds. He tends to give away a lot of the early rounds with guys like that. So again, don't don't be surprised basically if it's around 5, 6 and no one has been dropped, or the fight is still, no one has been basically taking the lead, or being the guy who is the one putting the pressure. Because I'm telling you, both of these guys are going to be cautious. Like, I have a big feeling that's going to be the case. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye.